So Ikkyo again. Okay, I consider this to be a sutemi waza in the sense that he gets the Ikkyo and I go to the floor. So, okay, a lot of this has to do with what kind of ukemi do you take. So if Arrow's doing the standard omote, coming out here, a lot of people just twist with that. And the problem with that is if he drops on it, you're going down on your own leg. And there's not a space. And then when you're down, he's got your arm and your ribs are open. You can't protect here worth a damn. Okay? So you can't really do this on the ura where he's turning, but on the omote, when he moves off the line this way, turn with it. So this foot's forward, the close foot. So if I was attacking with this hand, that foot's still forward, just like it was when it was good for the attack, it'll be good for the ukemi. So just rotate around it. Don't just twist and have him drop you. Because if I did that really fast, your chest goes into your knee at high speed because I'm dropping my weight on top of you. And you really want a space there. Okay? The other advantage is that your ribs are covered. Okay? So if I do this, boom, you notice here. Ah, much harder for him. Okay, I'm much more covered. And then what you have is you have access. This foot is in front of him. The other foot can go behind him. And if I do that, so he gets me down here, I hit, and then I shoot in here and scissor him. So take this high up over his hips. If you can lift this too, this one, the one goes in behind him, come forward just a little bit. Okay. Put that foot forward more. Okay. No, that foot more. Okay. So if I can get this to come at his knees, that's great, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's in here, tight to his legs. And this one, don't push on him. It's no contraction. It's actually an extension and an opening up of the hip. You're extending around. Okay? So you use this hand as your platform, and then you use that as your springboard and shoot this in. And then open that hip up. Okay? Do this. I've never seen a video with it. Sensei taught it to us. Okay? But this stuff is always there. You know, and so if you think about it, this is what I was talking about before, it's like even when I'm down, even when he has me locked here, I'm still thinking, how do I get in? How do I run that curve? How can I, where's the space? There's always something. There's always some space until you're pinned completely. If you're really pinned or you're unconscious or dead, you know, then it doesn't matter because you can't do anything. But, you know, and even when you're pinned, if you start playing with the Sistema boys, they'll let you pin him and then they go, where's the space inside this? Where's the space inside this? And you keep finding out, oh, there's always space. There's always some space, okay? So this is a perfect example. There's lots of space here. Just because he got the Ikkyo, there's lots of space here. And people are usually very, very, very unaware that this is here. So all I'm doing is coming in. They got their power here. They're focusing in here. And I'm bringing this inside and running the spiral. Does that sound familiar? It's like what we've done on everything. Okay? I'm getting inside his power. This time I'm doing it with my lower body while he's controlling my upper. Okay? Go ahead. The equivalent to this is, say you're doing hijinage on me. Oh. And what I do is I get in here, go across. There's the equivalent. So I'm running your hips back behind your legs and drop them. That's what you're trying to do here. Okay? So he's solid here. I block the balancing step. And then I extend and open the hip up. And that's actually a hand technique by itself. Okay? He throws a punch, come in here, strike low, enter. It's the same, you're just on your back using your feet to do it. So Alex, he's really tall. So when you go to do this, you're going to have to be on your back a little more. I mean, on your side. So when you go down and you shoot that right leg up as high as you can get it. There you go. There. Now, come back up to where you were. Get in that position again. Okay, so you normally would step with that foot. You'd normally, right, but you'd have that forward by then. Okay, so test, get him down. Okay, now what I want you to do is take this leg, shoot the other one behind him, and bring this up. If you can only get it into this one because he's so tall, fine. Okay, now this time instead of extending out and across, go out and across, and then draw your heel back. So if you can't reach both, if you can't get across his hips, this will do the same thing. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to run this spiral on his hips with your heel. Okay? So he's very tall compared to you. You have the little short legs, which make your Koshinage so good. He's got these really big long legs, which means your Koshis are probably sucky because you're so damn tall. And it's not a good match for this. Now, there is a flying version of this where you just go airborne off that hand, which when we were younger was probably doable. But we don't do that anymore. There's even, and this is a flying takedown. I mean, you can be up here and then just go in and go whoom and run this on the fly. We used to do it in Araki Ryu, except that I really could never let myself do it because I was so much bigger than everybody else in class. And once you go airborne like that, you can't control the power. You know, you're just flying. I can't suck power out of it. So you do this and you're like a couple 100 pounds falling on this guy and he's headed towards the, so I just couldn't get myself to do it. The little light guys, you know, whew, boom, that was fine. They'd come up in the air like little floaty boys. But when I went up in the air and then I came down on you, and you're going backwards, your head's traveling to the mat at high speed. So this one's a lot nicer. So what I was saying is if you can't reach across and get, your goal here, this foot's forward, your goal here is to get this, extend out across, and then get it to happen here by opening the hips up. You see how right there? If I can't get across to the hips, then the next best thing is to hook the heel, go out as far as you can, and then bring the heel back in and catch this line on the close leg. So out and draw. Same draw we're using for the Daitoryu without firing those contractors. And you can still get them to fall on this. Slightly different vector. Guys, you would never do this kind of takedown if you didn't have good ground fighting skills. Okay? This, you know, like the Kodagaish one that we did, you don't have to stick with them. You know, if you know, the sutemi waza can be done two different ways. It can be done as a way to counter throw you and then stay with you and go for the finishing move, which would be in the old days taking my weapon or your own weapon out and finishing you. And in, you know, a practice way, it would be sticking with you and going for a pin. As street self-defense, there's a lot of situations in which you really don't want to be down here with this guy, especially if he's got buddies. You know, this is always the problem with your mixed martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you know, all these guys are so entranced with it. And as a one-on-one sport fighting system, it's very impressive. But street fighting is usually about weapons, and most predators would prefer to have a couple buddies. So if they can get 3-on-1, they're happy. So 3-on-1, the last thing you want to do is go to the ground with somebody. So if you were going to the ground and needed to use sutemi waza, you would actually at that point want to throw them away from you. Just like I said before, oh, you don't usually want to throw them away from you. But sometimes you want to escape. You need to get back to your feet because while you're sitting here doing your cool leg lock, his buddies are kicking you in the head. This is not a good exchange. Okay? So the Kotegaeshi one that we did, if I got in there and then launched you, I could do it into a wall or a parked car or at the two buddies. And then hop up and reorganize my defense or even possibly run. Okay? Scissors takedown, you're entangled. So you would never do this kind of technique unless it was appropriate to stick with the guy and finish it. Okay? And so it's a great cool technique, but if you look at what you're set up for from this, it's a bunch of leg locks. You're not anywhere near his head and arms. You don't have good striking here. It takes him down, and if you're really lucky, he didn't know how to take any ukemi, so he went down, he rang his bell on the pavement. But what do you have? What's set up is a whole bunch of leg locks, which if you've ever seen any Sambo, the Russian martial arts guys, these guys, I remember I have a film, I had a video set on Sambo, and the guy was saying there were 300 finishing moves in sport Sambo and 400 in combat Sambo. So there was 100 that they couldn't do in sport Sambo because they were too dangerous, and it would just, if you did them, people just got hurt or crippled. Okay? Now I'm thinking 1 limb, 2 limbs, 3 limbs, 4 limbs, and let's count the head and neck as a 5th limb. So that's 5. That's 80 different locking techniques per limb. So, I mean, it's like there are so many different ways to lock somebody up. So this kind of scissors takedown sets up a whole bunch of ankle lock, leg lock things that normally don't get taught in Aikido. So I mean, it's a cool thing to do, and you should know this is here because Aikido people tend to do this Ikkyo and just be blissfully unaware that there's still a whole nother level of rotation that's possible here. And if your alignment is right, they can't quite do this one. Okay? So if arrow really, what most people who do Ikkyo, they get this here, and when they come down, you see that front foot? You see it's facing that way? If it's facing that way, he can get in behind me. Okay? He can shoot that, he can put that groin right into my leg. Yeah. So when you are taking ukemi, as you go down to the floor, the first thing you look at is the close foot. Because if it's facing parallel to your spine, you can get behind him. If it's facing you, you can't get behind him. Okay? So when I do the Ikkyo, da-da-da-da-da, if it's this way and he tries the scissors takedown, he can't get it behind me. So you wouldn't even try it. Okay? So this is what I was saying about being able to practice without people knowing you're even practicing. When I go places, as I take the ukemi on their Ikkyo, I look at the foot and go, I've got you. Or, no, I don't have you, you've got me. And I don't have to do it, and I know how to do the technique. And I know that if that foot is that way, I could have done it without ever having to show you what, and you can go along blissfully unaware that this was here. Okay? So that's why people should know it, because it makes a difference. That foot pointed at you, that foot pointed parallel, so the two of us are parallel, is the difference between them being able to be behind you or not. And how many times have you ever had a teacher tell you that? You know, I don't remember anybody ever telling me that. Nice thing was Sensei at least showed us this move. And then I started playing with it and said, wow, oh, he can't do it if I'm facing properly, if you're in front of me. So, you know, some of this stuff I figured out on my own. But if nobody tells you it's there, if you've never even seen this, you can go along and think that all of this is fine. It's all fine. And it's not. There's holes. Okay? So that's one of the reasons why. So anyway, this kind of thing is you would not do this unless it was appropriate to stay with them on the ground, and that you actually have the next line of techniques, which are backup. Okay? There is a strike, which is an axe kick with the heel. So you can take him down and then take that high leg, that one that's on top of him, raise it up and see if you can drop it on his head. It's a very powerful kick if you pull it off. It is, however, not too hard to block. So leg locks are really the things that would follow up from this. So you'd have to kind of make a study of some of them and put a few leg and ankle locks in your little toolbox to make this complete. Okay?